How's everyone doing today on this very, very lovely Thursday afternoon, the 8th of July? I have good news coming this 12th of July. We can all resume dining in at 5 persons per table. That's a very good news for all of us, especially after our Innovation Thursday sessions. We'd love to have a good meal. All right, my name is Billy. For today, I'm really glad that you guys are joining us here today for this very exciting session. We have lots of cool challenges to share about by our companies on the Open Innovation platform. And today's it's the fourth webinar of our current Innovation Call 10 series. And today's problem owners will be looking for solutions that focus on data analytics and artificial intelligence, right? So it's a wide range of real world challenges, all the way from the conservation sector to talent, spotting creative talent, and much more, right? Including how do we spot influencers. So before we begin, right, I'd like to remind everyone that if you have questions for our presenters, right, from all the companies, right, feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A function of Zoom. You can see at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you have questions for, say, our friends from the Wildlife Reserve Singapore, or from Glasgow International, for Creatives at Work, or for the Smart Local, right, feel free to address your question to the presenter or the company and also indicate your question. And we'll do our very best to answer them within the Q&A segment that's at the end of every presentation today. Now, if we aren't able to answer all your questions in the interest of time, right, don't worry. We'll follow up on the OIP portal, the Open Innovation portal that's at www.openinnovation.sg, where there's a forum for every challenge. So you can actually post your questions for the companies on the OIP forums, and they'll do their very best to answer them in a very timely fashion. So just a quick introduction to OIP for our friends who just joined us today. I think we have quite a big audience today, and I believe some of you are quite new. So the Open Innovation platform is basically a virtual crowdsourcing platform. So it bridges real business challenges, right, or digitalization opportunities of companies, right, with tech solver firms, right, that can provide the solutions for them, right? So challenges hosted on OIP is supported, right, by a structured innovation process, right, which includes the refinement, the curation, and the scouting of tech solvers for the challenges. So problem owners on OIP, they gain access to a diverse pool of solvers, right, both locally and regionally as well, while the tech solver firms, right, will receive capability support for evaluation and prototyping of your solutions. So just to, blow on a little bit, right? The OIP was one of the 3 platforms, right, highlighted by DPM Heng Swee Keat at the recent Budget 2021 speech, right, to boost innovation and transformation. Right, and very, very soon, right, okay, just to let you guys know, right, it's a sneak preview of the fact that we're going to have 2 new features, right, a few new features on the OIP portal, right? So one of them is called the Discovery Engine. It's going to help you, facilitate innovation discovery. And also we're going to launch the digital bench soon with trial users, right? And this is actually a virtual environment to accelerate rapid prototyping. So these are very cool features to look forward to on OIP. And today we're honored to have us a couple of our problem solvers. We have our Wildlife Reserve Singapore, we have the Smart Local, we have Creatives at Work, and we also have Gush Cloud International. Allow me to just highlight to our audience today that we actually have 2 sets of deadlines for OIP Innovation Call 10. So once again, we have 2 sets of deadlines for Innovation Call 10. Now, for the media sector challenges, right, which includes companies like MediaCore, Asia One, Gush Cloud, Creatives at Work, and so on, right? The deadline for the media sector challenges will be 16 July 2021, which is actually next Friday. So once again, the deadline for the media sector challenges is 16 July, which is next Friday. Now, for all the other challenges in Innovation Call 10, right, including the challenge from, for example, our friends from the Wildlife Reserve Singapore, right, the deadline will be 30th July 2021 for all the other Innovation Call 10 challenges. So once again, we have 2 deadlines. One for the media sector, which will end on 16th. So the submissions will close on 16th of July of 2021 for media sector. For all other Innovation Call 10 challenges, the deadline is 30th of July 2021. So you still have more time if you're gunning to submit a solution for one of the regular challenges of Innovation Call 10. Right, so on behalf of IMD, I'd like to thank everyone, including our problem owners and our tech solvers for your support, for being committed to innovation and for being trailblazers in your industry. And today, we're going to welcome our problem solvers to share their problems, and they also tell you a bit more about what they're looking for, and they'll be able to take questions from you on the floor. So once again, do address your questions to the presenters using the Q&A tool within the Zoom itself, right? And we'll do our very best to answer all your questions within the Q&A segment that's at the end of every single presentation. So we're going to share with you right now a very special video to give you a bit more insight into what Innovation Call 10 or OIP is all about. I'd like to invite my colleague, Mr. Bay, to kindly play the video clip right now. Take it away, Mr. Bay.
The economy of the future is digital, and innovation will be a key driver. So how do we accelerate the pace of innovation and digitalization to give our enterprises a competitive edge? The Open Innovation Platform, or OIP, is an initiative by the IMDA. It is a virtual platform that connects and matches challenges of problem owners such as SMEs, large enterprises, and government agencies to a pool of problem solvers with different expertise. This is Sarah. She is the Chief Innovation Officer of Company A. She would like to find innovative digital solutions to address her company's business challenge. She discusses her challenge with an IMDA officer and explains what she's looking for. IMDA then helps to launch Sarah's challenge through the OIP, allowing her to access a diverse pool of ideas and technology expertise immediately. Problem solvers around the world can see Sarah's challenge on the OIP, and those with the right capabilities for Sarah's challenge apply through the portal. Sarah and IMDA jointly evaluate, shortlist, and select the best solution from Company Y. Eric is the founder of Company Y. He works with Sarah to turn his idea into a working prototype that is demonstrated and tested in Sarah's facility. Sarah is happy with the successful prototype and awards Eric with prize monies. Sarah and Eric partnered to commercialize the solution and roll it out across Southeast Asia. Sarah increases the productivity of a company's operations, while Eric scales up his product successfully with this new customer reference. With the Open Innovation Platform, we have an innovation ecosystem that is always open for all enterprises, large and small. Join us on the Open Innovation Platform.
And thank you very much. That was a video that gives you an overview of how the OIP process works, right? So it's a great example of collaboration, right? So at the heart of OIP, of the Open Innovation Platform, is all about collaboration between IMDA, the problem owner, as well as the problem solvers. Right? Together, we work out the best solution to the very, very exciting real-world business challenge. Okay, right now I'm going to move on to a quick presentation of what the OIP is all about. This is for the benefit of our friends who join us. So I hope you can understand a bit more about OIP as I run through the presentation. Okay, just give me a second to share the screen. Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen. Okay, right. Okay, a thumbs up from my colleague Mira. Okay, welcome once again to OIP, the Open Innovation Process. The Open Innovation Platform. I'm too excited here to share all about the process with you. So basically, with IMDA will host the OIP on the OIP portal. You can actually visit the portal at www.openinnovation.sg. This is where all the challenges are listed, including the current challenges on Innovation Call 10. And let's just run through a couple of numbers. We have a community of over 11,000 tech solvers. We have given out over $7.1 million worth of prize monies over the last 3 years, right? Since the OIP was first launched in 2018. So we've hosted a total of 218 challenges so far. And the good news is, right, we have already seen a completion of 87 projects, right, including prototypes and so on. So I'm very confident that after Call 10 is over, right, with your help, right, with the tech solvers community's help, right, more projects to announce that they have have seen the prototypes or demonstrations of solutions and so on. So these numbers will only go up as we move on to more challenges under OIP. Okay, now this is a quick description of what you've seen in the video as well as what's available on the website. But just to let you know that this is a very structured innovation process. So IMDA will work closely with the problem owner and the tech solver that has been shortlisted, to develop a working prototype to solve the business challenge. Right, so a couple of the key attractions of OIP. Basically, you get a business opportunity if your solution has been selected as a finalist. You also get the prize money that's been offered, to answer the business challenge, and you also get support to for the innovation process as well. And of course, right, we also have a mentorship opportunities for you. So basically, there is a whole suite of advantages if you were to end up as one of the finalist solutions for the business challenges. Okay, again, a quick summary of some of the resources that you have. Don't worry if I'm going too far, because all this information is available on, of course, the OIP portal, which is at www.openinnovation.sg. Okay, maybe I'll give a quiz question later, and if you answer correctly, I can give you a prize, like what is the OIP URL and so on. All right, so part of the features of the OIP is that you actually gain access to innovation facilities, right, including one at Pixel, which is where I'm based at right now. So it's a I believe it's a 26,000 square feet innovation space, right? So it hosts a lot of very good facilities, right, including a 3D printing lab and so on, for you to test drive your prototypes and so on. So you still get access to NYP's Digital Engineering Innovation Center, as well as SC Engineering's Spark's Open Innovation Center. So basically, if you were to join OIP and you end up as one of the finalists, right, you will get access to all these innovation centers, right, and the facilities to fast track your prototype. And of course, you also get access to certain training sessions as well as workshops, right, on key topics such as design thinking, UI, UX design, digital storytelling, and so on. So basically, this will help you to give a greater finesse to your final prototype or your product. And of course, there'll be opportunities on a case-by-case basis for mentorship, where we can actually connect you to some of the industry experts for them to give you guidance and advice. And of course, for some of our tech solvers, right, who are new to IMDA, we do have IMDA programs that will help to grow your company, help you to grow and scale up even regionally, right? So basically, if you have the potential and your solution is really good and you qualify for the programs that we have, right? We have, for example, SGD Spark and SG Accredited, where we actually will take in the startups. We'll make sure that we accredit you properly after a very thorough evaluation process, and we will support you in your innovation journey. As we help you to open doors, for example, to government contracts and so on. So there's a potential for your company, right, to be enlisted in the INDA programs such as SGD Accreditation, SGD, or SGD Spark. And of course, you can also find out more about our OIP success stories, not just on the OIP portal, which again is at www.openinnovation.sg, but also on our IMD Impact News portal, as well as on the various social media channels we have, including IMD as well as a Pixel social media channel. So a quick summary of some of the benefits for you as a tech solver to join OIP. You get exposure to real business challenges from our problem owners. You will receive mentorship and support from a structured innovation process once you qualify as a finalist or your solution has been shortlisted. And you gain access to physical innovation and prototyping facilities. So once again, if you have questions, right, you need to hunt for more information, do visit the OIP portal at, once again, www.openinnovation.sg. Okay, and that's all for me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're going to move on to today's program proper. I'd like to welcome our friends from Wildlife Reserve Singapore. They are back for an encore presentation due to a very, very popular demand. I think we hosted them a couple of weeks back on our very first Innovation Call 10 Innovation Thursday webinar. And then they also have presented last week, I believe, at the K Startup webinar as well. And now they're back again here at Innovation Thursday. We're going to be featuring two business challenges from Wildlife Reserve Singapore. And I believe we have two speakers for today. Our main speaker will be Dr. Xie Shangzhe, Acting Deputy Vice President of the Conservation, Research, and Veterinary Department of WRS. Welcome, Dr. Xie. Dr. Xie, are you here? I just want to say hello to you.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Dr. Xie. First of all, I would also like to just make a sincere apology, right, for mispronouncing your name the previous round. So I hope you forgive me for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much. And also, I believe that you will be speaking together with your colleague, Ryan. Ryan, are you here as well?
Yes, I'm here.
Right, welcome. Yeah. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Xie will be the main speaker for WRS, and he manages the veterinary department at Jurong Bird Park, as well as the research and animal care innovation projects at WRS. And WRS, of course, is, as you know, is dedicated to the management of world-leading zoological institutions, including the Jurong Bird Park, the Night Safari, the River Safari, and the Singapore Zoo. And the most exciting news is that they'll also be in charge of the upcoming Mandai project, right? The very, very exciting Mandai project that will build on the concept of Singapore as a city in a garden, right? So I would like to first invite Ryan to share with us a bit more about the overview of WRS innovation and digital transformation journey. Oh, Ryan, sorry, allow me to introduce you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Han is a colleague of Dr. Xie, and he is the Assistant Vice President of WRS. So Ryan, are you ready to share more about WRS innovation and digital transformation journey?
Yep, of course.
Okay, thank you. Please take it away.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon to all attendees. I'm really excited to be part of this Open Innovation Platform. I'll just take about 3 minutes. Together with me is Dr. Shangzhe, who will be providing you the details of the 2 interesting challenge statements from WRS. So maybe just a quick question. When was the last time you have been to our park? I really hope it's really recent. So a quick overview. Everybody knows about the 4 parks we have under Wildlife Reserve Singapore. Singapore Zoo, River Safari, Night Safari, and the Jurong Bird Park. Moving forward, the brand new bird park will be ready by next year, and we will be moving from Jurong to Mandai, the Jurong Bird Park. In the next 5 years, we are going to drive the regeneration of what we call the Mandai Precinct into an integrated nature and wildlife, a total of about 10 attractions, parks, hotels, including the new 2 rainforest parks, 2 indoor attractions, and 2 hotel resorts. It'll be just a very nice integrated nature and wildlife destination for local and overseas tourists. So through this development arm, the Mandai, which we call oversees the business and strategic development of WRS, and who is the operator of all these parks. So as you can see, there's a huge transformation going on, and our role and my role under this transformation office under WRS is to drive the application of innovation tools, behaviors, knowledge, and provide end-to-end consultation internally to drive all these innovation projects in the next from now all the way until the next few years when all the parks are being built. So external engagement, which is something like this, is also very important and to us, where we want to build an innovation architect, including process for managing relationships with external partners like yours, developing innovative services with a mixture of internal drivers, external innovation partners, and blend in-house and outside innovation. So we are looking at tech scouting, strategic partnerships through all this co-innovation, and this enables us to assess world-class talent and bridge the gap between external and internal innovation. So this is what our job is. So I'll hand over to Dr. Shangzhe, who will be sharing with you more about the 2 problem challenges or statements that we have. Over to you, Dr. Shangzhe.
Hi, Dr. Shangzhe, sorry to interrupt, but may I invite you to also turn on your camera so that the audience can take a look at you as well?
Yep. Just trying to get everything going.
Okay.
Can you see the slides on the screen?
Yes, we can see the slides as well. Yeah, and a very nice Jurong Bird Park backdrop that you have there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
The first challenge, which is something we need for aviary mesh inspection. So as Brian just described, we currently run 4 parks, Jurong Bird Park, Night Safari, River Safari, and the Zoo. And our main vision is to inspire people to value and conserve biodiversity by providing meaningful and memorable wildlife experiences. So in our 4 parks, we have over 1,000 species of animals and 15,000 individual animals. And we try to keep them in naturalistic open concept exhibits. And having this naturalistic and open exhibits just comes with a set of challenges that we need innovative solutions for. So in the current Jurong Bird Park and in the upcoming Mandai, quite a few large aviaries. And we like these large aviaries because we can create natural habitats so that we can put many different species of birds that usually they tend to enjoy it a bit more than if they're kept in individual small cages. So we need something that will help us manage and maintain the meshing that covers the aviaries. And hopefully we can proactively investigate any breaches in the aviary mesh before it happens. So like I mentioned, the new bird park, I wouldn't give too much away, but we'll have a lot more large aviaries. So you will get to walk through them and enjoy the birds doing their natural behaviors. The dimensions are similar to the big aviaries we have in Jurong Bird Park right now. So we don't have that many right now. It's about 2 that's going to be the size of the new ones in Mandai. And the biggest one we have, you might be familiar, is the waterfall aviary. And that one's about 35 meters tall, and the land area of that is about 20,000 square meters. So it's very big and it's very high. And that makes it really hard for us to properly inspect the mesh covering the aviary, because we're not going to climb up 35 meters every day to check it. And in the times when we need to do that, it's a huge health and safety risk for the staff that needs to do it. And even walking around the perimeter of the aviary takes quite a bit of time, and having to inspect as much of the mesh as possible, it takes a lot of work. So we try to do this regularly, and only some parts are accessible. So that picture you see there, you can see some of it is built on a hill. So there are areas that we can access on foot, but there are other areas in the other picture that you can see you really need to go quite high. So right now, what we can do, or what we mostly do, is we find these defects as and when it happens. Some of the pictures you see there, you see leaves accumulating in certain areas. We'll have to go out and clean those off periodically. That problem is going to be hopefully not existent in the new park, because the trees in the new park will be inside the aviary and not outside the aviary. And that takes a lot of time. Like I mentioned, a lot of health and safety risks, and we have to bring specialist equipment in sometimes to do that. And if it rains or if there's lightning, then we have to do it on a different day for safety reasons. And it's just impossible to cover every inch of the aviary, even when we do try. So we are quite limited in trying to cover 100% of the mesh area. So the main problem statement is, how can we investigate aviary mesh integrity and conduct automated inspections for the detection of possible breaches? So I have to mention that the mesh that is currently in the Jurong Bird Park is an older design. So this is the mesh we will use in the new Mandai Bird Paradise. And hopefully any solution should be made to inspect mesh of this design. So this is a stainless steel woven mesh. You can see the dimensions there. And what we need is something that can do a thorough check of the entire mesh surface area. And they can determine whether there is deviation from the standard strength and alert us of the location when such breaches are detected. It should be fully automated in that it should be able to move around by itself and inspect the whole area without someone holding and moving around with it. And hopefully it's user-friendly, easy to use and maintain. And we want it to be durable and sustainable as well. So some of the things we thought might be possible is stuff like high-resolution 3D photogrammetric or laser modeling, total camera coverage of the aviary mesh. So I should mention that it shouldn't be so hard to maintain that you have to go out more often to maintain the cameras than to check the aviary itself. And other things like mesh perimeter sensors is something we thought might be possible. And the cash price we have is $50,000. And if we start establishing working partnerships, then there are long-term projects, other long-term projects that you will have first line access to. You have the resources in our staff, because we have been doing this for a while, and we know what is needed to take care of animals and maintain them. We evaluate the proposals based on these criteria. So company profile, solution fit, relevance, solution readiness, scalability, and quality of innovation. And the timeline is the standard timeline. We're going to be taking applications up until the end of July. We'll evaluate them over the next month or so, and then there's about 3 to 6 months after that to develop the prototypes. Yeah, that's it for this one.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangcha. We'll now open the floor to Q&A. There's really one question on the floor, so I'll take that first before I jump in my own question. Dr. Sangcha, this question is, oh, I've seen two already. Okay, the first question is, what are the possible types of breaches that you're looking out for?
So the worst breach, of course, is a big hole in the mesh where a bird can escape through. But we are hoping that the solution will detect it before it gets to that stage. So any weakening of the mesh itself, we should detect before it becomes a big hole.
Okay, so big holes in the meshes. Okay, that's a great one. Next question will be, will WRS be able to share what methods have been used previously and what are some of the considerations that led to the methods not being used?
The methods we've used really is just by eye. Like one of our staff will walk around and see where there might be any holes. If it's really high, they might use binoculars. Yeah.
It sounds like it was still a little bit manual in terms of trying to monitor the breaches.
Yes.
Okay. Right. A question from Edmund from the floor. How is the mesh secured to the support structure?
There are tall beams that are located around the aviary, and the mesh is tied to those beams.
Okay. Wow, more questions coming in right now. This is a very hot topic, I believe. This comes from the floor again, and this is, what is the number of meshes we need to cover in this call? And are there resources at each support tower? Dr. Sangcha?
I guess in the initial stage, we just need to pick one of the aviaries and just use that for the development of the prototype. But because the aviaries are so similar, it should be scalable. The sizes are slightly different, but they're mostly the same design.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangcha. Oh, more questions coming in. This one from Cai Ling, I believe. What is the distance between each support pillar?
This is very variable, so I don't have the exact measurements. And yeah, it's different for every aviary.
Okay, I'm trying to see whether we have more questions from the floor. This is a very hot topic. Okay, actually, Dr. Sangcha, I have one very layman question for myself. I just want to ask you, I noticed that in your requirements, you need the prototype to be tested at both the current Jurong Bird Park as well as the new Mandai Aviary. Is that correct? So what will be the key difference between the new facility and the Jurong Bird Park in terms of
Actually, I think for the testing part, it might be easier to do it at our existing park because the park is still a construction site, so it might be tricky to get in.
Okay, understand. So we'll focus more on testing at the current Jurong Bird Park. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call for the floor to submit any more questions for Dr. Sangcha on this challenge from WRS. This, of course, is the challenge titled, A Smarter Way to Monitor Aviary Habitats. If there are no more questions from the floor, oh yes, another question from Edmund. Dr. Sangcha, do you know how much tension is placed on the support cables?
I don't have the exact number, but I can get them. So the more technical details, if you need, I guess you can put it in the forum, and then we can get those numbers to you.
Oh, that's great. So, Edmund, we'll invite you to actually submit your question on the technical issues, right, on the OIP forum for this particular challenge. So you visit www.openinnovation.sg and you go to the challenge forums, right? You can look for the forum to place your question on this topic. Okay, if there are no more questions, chat box. Okay, I'm going to check for one more question. Okay, it's a question from Lauren, I believe. Let me just see. Okay, yes, Lauren has a question and he says, do you intend to get a fixed infrastructure to monitor your mesh? If yes, how far do you think you can inspect the mesh using cameras, permanent cameras, or using drones or drones type to do inspection? So basically, Lauren's asking to get a fixed infrastructure.
I think for our purposes, a mobile one might be better. So you only get one set and you can inspect, 5 or 6 aviaries. So we don't have to inspect them daily. If you set one to inspect each one every day, then it gets inspected once a week if you go one round through the park. So rather than having to install 5 or 6 sets of devices, it's better if we have one set that can be brought around to the different aviaries.
But Dr. Sanjay, I'd just like to clarify that basically WRS is not fixated on one particular solution. Right? You're actually exploring all kinds of possible plausible solutions to this challenge, right?
Yes, yeah, we're very open because there's nothing that exists out there, so we are open to anything.
Okay. What about your peers in the world, other bird sanctuaries around the world? What kind of solutions do you think they're using?
I suspect they're not actually inspecting it regularly.
Great. So there's an opportunity for Singapore to be a world leader in this new technology, this innovative use of technologies to monitor the smart technologies to monitor the aviary. So it seems that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity for Singapore, to actually lead the world in this new realm. So I think I look forward to all the exciting submissions, from our tech solver community for this challenge. Just let me check whether there's any more questions from the floor. Okay, I think that's all. Dr. Sanjay, I'd like to invite you to present on the next challenge that WRS is hosting on the OIP, and this will be on the Smart Environment Real-Time Monitoring System.
Okay. Is it the new one on your screen now?
Yes, it says Automated Environmental Data Loggers. That's the one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so this one slightly different. So again, just talked about it. We manage 4 parks. We take care of 1,000 species and 15,000 individual animals. And because we take care of these animals, we are very big on their welfare. And positive welfare is very important because they are healthier. They display the behaviors that visitors want to see when they come to our parks. And part of maintaining their welfare is maintaining the environment they're kept in. So we try to match the environment as much as possible to what they will have in the wild. And that's because that's what they are evolved to adapt to and thrive in. So if you give them the right environment, they will be the healthiest and the happiest. And some of these environmental parameters that we need to maintain include humidity, temperature, airflow. If it's an aquatic animal that lives in water, the pH of the water, the oxygen, chlorine, carbon dioxide, nitrate, nitrites, ammonium. The list is a bit longer for water. And some of it we currently do manually, and it takes a lot of time. And there are other things in the environment, such as light, type of UV light, UV intensity, color of the light, sound and vibration. Those are things that will affect the animals, and those are things that we want to try to monitor regularly. And currently, the way we do it from the start, from designing the exhibit to running it, maintaining the animals in the exhibit daily, we start by determining which environmental parameters are important to measure. So if it's an air, land animal, then of course the air and land parameters are the most important. If it's an aquatic animal, then the water ones are more important. Then we decide which devices are required to measure this. And then based on that, we decide how frequently they need to be measured based on the type of animals, number of animals that are in there. And right now we manually have to go measure them and manually enter those data into a spreadsheet. And we match that to what we know to be normal for them. And if we find it to be abnormal, then we have to inform the curators, the vets, and we determine whether things need to be done to bring it back to normal. So the problem statement is, how can we measure environmental parameters, access the data on a single server, and also receive alerts to an automated system? So currently we lack the loggers that can provide the feedback to a server and send the alerts out to keepers. And also some of these loggers require a lot of manual work. Some of the water ones especially, you need to spend a lot of time adding reagents to the water and then measuring the color change. So for fish, like I said, the water ones are the most important. This is an example of one of the medium-sized tanks. in River Safari. Reptile amphibian, if you've been to our Reptopia exhibit, you will know it's an indoor air-conditioned environment. Some of them have quite tightly controlled humidity and temperatures. This one in the picture is a bit more open. This is supposed to simulate a desert environment, so it's drier than outside, and the temperatures in certain parts are higher than outside, but most of it is in the air-conditioned space. And then example of a small mammal facility and a bird facility. So the small mammal and bird exhibits, because as you can see, they are a bit more open. Most of this should match the outdoor temperature and humidity. But then there are certain pockets of the exhibit. You can see some birds like to congregate at certain corners. And it's in those corners where there are microhabitats and microenvironments that we might need to monitor a bit more. So the steps that we see needing to happen is that we need to identify and install the correct and accurate measuring devices. We need, hopefully, the system to be automated, so the samples are collected and the tests are done as we set the machines to do. And then once the results are out, they should be uploaded straight to the server, and we should be able to download it into a spreadsheet easily. And the last component we need is the system to alert the keepers of any abnormalities. I mean, the keepers usually would check the spreadsheet, but it will be good and it will be more timely if the system can send that alert out before the keepers go open the spreadsheet. So we foresee that there will be testing of the solutions at River Safari for the water monitoring one, and then at Reptopia and Fragile Forest, which is one of the open air exhibits with a mixture of birds and mammals for the air, light, and sound monitoring one. So again, the cash prize, $50,000. The other incentives are, like I said, for the Match project, we have long-term partnerships, overseas zoos, frequently look at what we're doing and try to see what they can adapt to their own zoo. Evaluation criteria is the same as mentioned before, and timeline is the same. We take applications for another 3 weeks and then evaluate them over the next month, and then there's 3 to 6 months to develop it. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sangche. We'll move on to the Q&A for this particular challenge. But before we move on, Dr. Sangche, I just want to clarify that you're looking to test the prototype, right, the selected solution at 3 places, right, within the Mandai area. It'll be the River Safari, the Reptopia, and the Fragile Forest. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, because I know that because you're also looking for sensors to track the habitats of the birds and the animals as well. But I just noticed that in your testing parameters, you didn't ask to test any of these environments, the birds or the animals one. So just wondering whether is there something you want to address?
What do you mean by the?
Basically, basically the 3 areas you listed will cover all the majority of the needs. So the River Safari for water monitoring, and Reptopia, as well as the Reptopia and the Fragile Forest will cover the rest of your needs, including the animals.
Yeah, because Reptopia is indoor reptile exhibit. Okay. Whereas Fragile Forest is outdoor, mostly mammal and bird exhibit. So you should have a full range. Yeah.
And you can track, basically the solution will track the air, light, and sound environment of this habitats.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so we have a couple of questions from the floor. So again, this is a very hot topic, this Smart Environmental Real-Time Monitoring System Challenge from WRS. And the first question comes from anonymous attendee. It says that, could you elaborate on the purpose and requirement to monitor vibrations? Why vibrations, Dr.
Yeah, vibrations are more important for reptiles. So like for snakes, they are very sensitive because they are usually lying against something that is connected to the ground or on the ground itself. So if there's a lot of vibration, for example, if there's a lot of vehicle movement around and stuff, it will stress them and they can stop eating. So that is important for those groups of animals.
Thank you for clearing that up. Very important. So I hope that answers the question. I'll remember the floor. Next question comes from Richard, and Richard asks, for the fish tank, what are the parameters you are manually logging now, and for the reptiles as well? Or can you list what parameters are you manually logging now? So Richard is very interested in all the parameters you're tracking. Dr. Sangcha?
Yeah. So the water one, I just go off the top of my head, might not be fully comprehensive. So we have pH, oxygen, nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, chlorine. Yeah, so those are the main ones. And we currently have machines, but you have to take the water, either put the probe in, or you take the water and you mix it with reagents and then check the color change. Some of these kits that you test for these things test several things at the same time, but there's still a lot of manual work for mixing the reagents. And for the land and air one, we have oxygen, humidity. So those are kind of automated because the numbers display on the screen. You just need to go there and write it down yourself.
But the proposed solution should automate all this, right, and collect all the data in one central sort of dashboard, right, a virtual dashboard.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Sweet. Okay. Next question from the floor. It says, what is the scale of this proof of concept?
So yeah, we need to have something that works in those 3 exhibits, like I said. Okay. And because those 3 exhibits are quite representative of what we have around the park, so if it works in those exhibits, then we should be able to adapt it to all the other exhibits.
Okay, so once you clear the first round of testing, it should be able to scale up to the rest of the habitats across the park. Okay, that's great. So thank you for the answer. Next question will be, I think we've covered this just now. Okay, how many habitats, environment enclosures, and what types do we need to cover for this call? I believe we briefly discussed that, Dr. Sangcha. So maybe you can just answer this before we go on. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the water tank, one of the tanks in River Safari, indoor reptile exhibit in Reptopia, and an outdoor exhibit, which is Fragile
Forest. Yeah, outdoor exhibit in the Fragile Forest, I believe. Yeah. Okay, next question from this same participant is there a list of equipment devices that you use so that we know the operating range and sensitivity available?
Yes, there is, but yeah, because it's such a long list, I think it's a better use the forum and I can.
Yeah, so we welcome this questioner to send in the query to the forum, the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg. Then we'll get our friends at WRS to answer in detail. Next part of the question will be, are there any certifications required for the sensors used?
What do you mean by certifications?
That means I believe it's whether you have to certify the people to train them to use the sensors, I believe.
Okay. I guess that depends on what type of sensors they are. If they are similar to the individual, equipment that we currently use, then the keepers should be quite familiar with using them.
Okay, and one last part of this question will be, do you require an app for push notifications, or will email alerts be fine?
I think phone, message alerts on the phone will be better because the keepers don't go to the computer that regularly.
So more like a mobile alert system would be better. Okay, yeah. That's great. Wow, a lot of tough questions today for Dr. Sangcha. How are the key environmental parameters being collected currently, and what are the sensors that WRS currently have in place? I think we kind of covered this a bit, right? Dr. Sangcha, what do you say?
Yeah, it's the same list of equipment which I can provide in the forum.
So we'll look forward to getting this question or these similar questions in the forum, and then we'll answer collectively in one shot. I think that'll be better. Yeah. So we'll welcome the questioner to send in the question via the OIP forum. Okay. Next we have, where can download this PowerPoint for description? Can share a link. Actually, I welcome you to visit www.openinnovation.sg because the challenge brief is quite there's a lot of details in the challenge brief that's hosted at www.openinnovation.sg. And again, if you have any specific questions, right, you can post that in the forum, and the WRS team will be able to answer you there as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question for Dr. Shangche. What is the plan after the prototype development? Any timeline for production implementation?
I guess the sooner the better, because keepers spend a lot of time on this every day because it's an important part of their job. But as soon as we can automate it, then it frees them up to actually observe the animals, and learn other things about them.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shangche. Okay, next question, very interesting. What is the pass criteria for the proof of concept? I believe there's a slide that Dr. Shangche flashed. Maybe you can show us again the slide about the criteria, the qualifying criteria for the POC.
Yeah. Is the screen still on for everyone, or has it?
We can see your video, but we can't see the screen, the slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring that up again. Is it there now?
That's what our member of the audience wants to know. So
Yeah,
I guess we can advise people to check out the brief at www.openinnovation.sg. Thank you, Dr. Shangche. We'll move on to the next question. And this is sensors. Do we need to provide sensors, or is the project scope only related to data flow integration? So I think this question was to clarify whether they also need to provide the sensors as part of the project.
I think for some parameters you might have to, because like I said, the ones that require you to manually mix the reagents, that doesn't give you an automation. So if there are alternatives, then we don't have them. We don't have the sensors right now.
Okay, so it's on a case-by-case basis, depending on the solution proposed, I believe. Yeah. Okay, I think Advance will answer the next question, so we'll let Advance answer it using the chat function in Zoom. Okay, there's a question from the floor. Dr. Shangche, will there be a site survey conducted for this POC, and how many attendees allowed from each company? This is an interesting question.
Yeah, we're planning to have a site visit next Friday, the 16th of July, and just one representative, just keeping to COVID restrictions.
Okay, thank you. I think we will offer more details about the site visit on the OIP forum. So do check out the forum for the latest update on this.
Correct. So Billy, may I just add on? So
yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Those who are interested, you all can share your interest under the two challenge statements that we have. So I think Emily and ourselves, we will then maybe share back the time and the stuff. So because if there are more people, then we might need to set up another sessions, because now we are trying to just keep to one first. So due to COVID, there are some limitations to it. If not, if it's overwhelming, then we might need to open another one. So best if y'all can reach out inside that the OIP, the problem statement there, so we are aware which companies or which partners are interested. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have quite a lot of questions, but I think I need to sort of maybe limit to just a couple more so that we have time for the next few presentations. I'd like to take this question from Chun Lim Ho, and he says that, is there any technical specification for each physical parameter, like the range, the sensitivity, accuracy, and sampling frequency? And secondly, any form factor production rating requirement? Dr. Shangche or Ryan, you want to take this question?
So again, the more technical things we will put in the forum, the range and specifications. For form factor, I think it just needs to be able to fit in the aviary or the exhibit, and it needs to be not very conspicuous. The animals shouldn't be, attracted to it, because you don't want them pecking it.
Okay, and of course, for the river safari one, it has to be waterproof, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more question from the floor. Okay, I think let's answer Chun Lim Ho's last question. Are there existing wireless networks inside the facility, or does the device need to use cellular communication to send back the data to the server? And what is the backend server currently used? Very technical questions. Dr. Shangche or Ryan?
Most of the exhibits should be within the Wi-Fi range for our park, either the staff or the guest Wi-Fi range. And the data should go back to our internal server, ideally.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I think most of the questions are pretty much, some are quite technical. So I invite all the members of the audience interested in this particular challenge to actually send their questions via the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg, and then we'll get our friends from WRS to answer them in detail. Okay, on that note, I'd like to thank Dr. Shangche and Ryan for giving us a very good presentation, as well as answering all the tough questions from the floor. This is a very hot project as well, so I think you get a lot of interest from our tech solver community. So thank you very much, Dr. Shangche and Ryan, and we look forward to evaluating all the exciting submissions from the tech solver community. Thank you, and we'd like to move on to our next presentation. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our next set of challenge, and this will be from our media sector challenges. And our first presenter comes from a new media outfit in Singapore. And TSL Media is touted as the largest new media group in Singapore. And TSL, of course, stands for the Smart Local. And they are a very, very popular content portal, I believe. The flagship is located at thesmartlocal.com. And they reach over 3 million Singaporeans each month. And guess what? TSL also expanded throughout the region. I believe they're in Thailand, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and Philippines as well. It's my great pleasure right now to invite Mr. Brian Chu, the CEO of the Smart Local. And Brian heads the business and content strategy of TSL. And let's just say hi to Brian. Brian, are you here, Brian?
Yes, I am. Hey, Billy.
Hi, thank you. Are you all excited to showcase your two challenges? I believe you have two. The first one is called AI-enabled talent matching for the creative industry. So that's one, talent matching. And the other one will be on the social media topic trend monitoring analysis, which again is a very popular topic that I think a lot of people are interested in. So Brian, are you ready to showcase your two business challenges? We can start the first one first, which is the and then we'll do a Q&A together as well. So please take it away, Brian. Looking forward to this.
I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. So everybody, you guys can see my screen, right? Thumbs up, you can see my screen. Okay.
Yeah, I can see your screen. It says Open Innovation Platform. Thank you very much for the shout out to us. And just out of curiosity, Brian, are you going to play the guitar as well?
Not this time.
We'll have some musical interlude as well. Okay, never mind. Take it away, Brian. We'll catch up you at the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, taking the time to join us this afternoon. Okay, so credit to IMD because IMD actually helped us also prepare this slide. I mean, we worked with the team to go and essentially coordinate and articulate the problem that we have. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. For the first problem, there are two problems in total. And for the first problem, what we want to do is we want to solve talent matchmaking in the creative industry. So you can think of it right now as the problem that we're trying to solve is that when a lot of people want to find talent, so this could be like cast, or it could be maybe crew to work with, be like videographers, directors and whatnot, or actors, actresses and whatnot. A lot of times they have to depend on personal contacts. If not, they would just have to go and put out a post in like various Facebook posting groups. And it's not ideal. It's not like a tech-driven solution. And the idea is to create like this resource hub for the entire community, which then can be, which could use such a system. So maybe a bit about us first. A bit about us, like a quick 30-second introduction is we started as a lifestyle and travel portal back in 2012, but we've expanded very rapidly. And across different verticals, we now have Eat Book under us, which covers food, Zula covers female, MS News, which covers news. We also have a video production arm. And every year, our cumulative article views are over 200 million, and our video views are about 180 million, which is very significant considering a population of 6 million just in Singapore. So IMDA has very kindly offered to try and maybe upskill or uptech somewhat like the media sector. So we really hope that we can do this project together with them and with you guys. Okay, so this first problem statement, maybe it's best if I go and share this. I'll share my screen. My screen of I'll share a demo site soon. But essentially, what this page or what this website and hub serves to be, it's a hub which connects all the talent in Singapore, specifically the talent in the media industry. So you can imagine, like on IMDb, right? If you guys have gone to IMDb before, you will know that there's a very nice filmography. You could click on the director's name and you could see like all the previous work that they have done. In Singapore at the moment, there isn't any sort of like information, or it's very, very difficult to find the information for like actors, actresses, and whatnot. The information just doesn't exist. So we want to go and, well, what we're looking for from a tech partner is someone who can build the infrastructure for this. And we are the ones who will then populate this with content. But this would be like a very large encyclopedia also for the tiers, for the media scene in Singapore, which should also function as like a jobs platform as well, because it would allow people to easily find people who have the relevant experiences for them. If we could use some sort of AI as well, AI-driven job matching and assignment, mean that, for example, if you are a director and you're working on a new project and you have all these roles specified that you want to fill, maybe this person just clicks on the button and then it's like generate recommendations, and then suddenly you have like all the list of potential people that for each of these roles which they can consider, which also and the system also considers their availability over the upcoming months. So that's what we mean by like a AI-driven job matching and searching. So that would be ideal, but this is more of like in a later phase. The basic phase, we just want it to work as a jobs portal, somewhat like a jobs portal, but with like very detailed information of people. So for example, let me just share with you what's on CultJobs. You guys can see this screen at the moment, right?
Yes, I can see your demo site, yes.
Yeah, okay, so I think CultJobs is quite fantastic because essentially they were created as a job site for like the media industry. So right now it's doing pretty well. There's definitely a big demand. You can see there's a lot of advertisers on this, right? So it's kind of like this, but it's a lot more detailed. For example, you would have a job section like this as well, but we would also have specific role section. For example, if you're an actor, if you're an actress of a particular age, right, people will be easily able to find gigs being posted like this, which they can then go and apply for, like a one-click button, apply for, and then after that, on the other side, the company can see essentially the resume of the people. It's kind of like JobsDB, JobStreet, JobsDB, kind of like that, but for the media scene. So this is one example. Later on, if this and like this is the basic part, right? If this basic part, so okay, maybe we'll break it down to 3 parts. The basic part is just having a job database. If you guys already have a solution out of the box or whatever, and when that requires customization, that's also something that we can work with. Yeah, but that will be the first part. The second part, which will be all the data and the content that we can go and attach to this particular roles, so that like a director will have his all his full works that he's done before. It's very easy for people to see, and there will also be like a ratings and review section where people, it's kind of like Grab. It's just simple. It's like a 5-star, 4-star. People can just leave like their comments if they've worked with them before. And then the final part is the AI part. What are the applications beyond the job space? Well, there was a page called Instagram Glassdoor reviews quite some time ago, which was very popular because essentially people who were in the media industry and they worked a lot with KOLs, they always got very varied experiences. And the reason for this is there's no rating system, there's no transparency, nothing, right? So they created this Instagram page, and then they would rate KOLs, they would rate influencers, and then people would then discover who are the good influencers to work with and whatnot. But obviously that one it stopped after a while because of other complications. But one of the actual users for this system would then to apply that to the KOL industry also. It's the same infrastructure, it's just a different category. Instead of like media industry jobs, it just becomes KOL jobs. Another application is, for example, if we started doing things where there's very little transparency, for example, the renovation industry, right? There is very little transparency down there, and people want to find essentially good contractors and good IDs, but it's so hard to find a good contractor and good ID. So again, that's another application. But we're getting a bit ahead. We're just thinking of all the future possibilities. I think the main thing is the 3 phases. It is first to create like a job listing page. The next part is to create like some sort of infrastructure so that it's easy to go and support adding different content, a different history of work. And the last part is some sort of AI-driven technology. Okay, so this is for, sorry, Billy, I'm not sure of the time, right? Like how much time do we have? Do I have left for the
time? No
worries,
part? Yeah. Still okay. Still okay. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we are looking for as well. Okay, KOLs. And then, yeah, prize money of 50K. Well, yeah, I guess the thing which sets TSL apart is that we already have that massive network and distribution. So we don't have to worry about traction. We are going to get traction very easily. Like, I mean, recently we just created this. I don't know, you guys may have seen it. We created this like salary database called answers.sg. And essentially, we got 30,000 submissions in about 3 days. Like, we work with TSL, the infrastructure and the distribution network is really there. This project would then will get traction pretty quickly. So that's what you have going for you. You get like the instant access to the market. Okay. Yeah, apart from the prize money awarded. Okay, so let's go back to the deadline. So maybe we'll go the deadline. I think they're standard for all applications, right? So let's just go to the Q&A if anyone has questions for this first.
Thank you, Brian, for presenting the first challenge from TSL. And yes, as Brian noted, this is the media sector challenge. So the closing date is actually next Friday, 16th of July. And now we're going to take questions from the floor for Brian on this first challenge from TSL, which is AI-enabled talent matchmaking for the creative industry. Okay, Brian, this looks like a very nice drink. Can you share with me? I'm just kidding. Okay, basically, okay, Brian, I have a very layman's question for you. Basically, I'm assuming that TSL has already taken a look around the market to see whether there's something that you can actually already use, right, to create this portal. But what stopped you, or what's lacking in the market right now that you need to turn to OIP?
Well, the closest thing, I guess, to this is called jobs, but it's more for jobs, full-time jobs, rather than things like projects. There isn't like a project, and because the information is so I won't say it's disorganized. It's just that it's not for this media industry in particular, for like this niche of like photographers and talents. Because of that, it's hard to get visibility. So what everyone in the industry is like, most of the people in the industry, they're just turning to Facebook groups. And Facebook groups it's a bit disorderly, a bit chaotic, and also sometimes people also have their own agenda in the Facebook groups, the Facebook page owners. So we want to create like an open platform essentially, which we believe that will be very, very good for the media industry in the long term. And because we are essentially providing a solution for a very big problem, which a lot of producers have. Like, at least my team. I mean, I cannot speak for everyone in the industry, but my team struggles quite a bit with finding the correct profiles, the correct talent. And it's a lot of asking a friend's friend. And we want to try and make it easy for anyone, even like a new company or an old company which suddenly needs like a more established company which maybe needs a huge headcount of 100 people for some Hollywood project which is coming into Singapore. Right? With this, right, you enable, if you have this sort of system, then immediately use technology to go and solve this problem.
Okay, Brian, don't mind me following on my question. So basically,
Sure.
Based on what I've seen so far, right, the perception is that I mean this in a very very neutral sense. It does seem to be a bit like a carousel for creative talent. What else are you looking beyond this? Yeah.
We also want it to be a place for the media industry, meaning that, well, people should know what are the latest movies being published in Singapore, the latest films which go. A lot of times these films go under the radar, and the only chances of it reaching mainstream Singapore attention if it wins some award overseas, So we want to know that, okay, these are the works of our, but because we do have quite a lot of work being produced, it's just that there isn't media that covers it. So this also would serve to be that home ground, that hub for like everyone in this industry, to go to. And could it even involve like tech projects in the future? I mean, that's also a possibility. It's not our main focus. Our main focus now is media industry, but it could be extended to support different industries as well.
Okay, so that's a very strong element of like a IMDb, database part to this as well, yeah. Not just a job matching, but also a talent database kind of thing.
Correct, and the freelance/gig economy aspect can be extended beyond like what Fiverr provides. Like, could obviously be extended to like something similar to like those sites like Fiverr, and what's the other site, Up Jobs, I can't remember exactly, but essentially Upwork, I think that's the name. Yeah, but it'll be for the Singapore industry, and it could be for other projects as well, like tech.
Yeah, sounds like there's a lot of potential applications for this solution. Okay, we've got questions from the floor. Very interesting questions. So Brian, just now you were talking a bit about KOLs, which I assume is key opinion leaders, right, or influencers, as we all know. Now, so Hannes Santana is asking, do you mind elaborating about, why you're looking for KOLs? Yeah.
Well, it's more of it's more of like a solution provided to companies who are looking for KOLs. And this is not our main primary objective. Our primary objective is really to fix the gap in the media industry. But we are like, if this works out for the media industry, we could then apply this same infrastructure to other industries where it's that lack of transparency. And the main issue is because a lot of times when agencies work, so this could be like a PR agency or it could be a client, and when they work with particular KOLs, the experience that they have is just extremely varied. Sometimes they have a very good experience, sometimes they have a very bad experience. Sometimes it's the bad experiences which make it to the internet and become the next social media drama. And that's why
right.
There is
Reddit,
quite a lot of negative association with influencers. That's why people have tried to use the word KOLs to stay away from the influencer word. But essentially the KOLs are, I guess you can as the more media savvy ones, right? And they make a living for this. And there isn't like a like a formal infrastructure in place to support the good KOLs, because we want to make the whole industry more efficient by making sure that the better ones, more professional ones get more work to stay on top, and then it becomes a viable industry already, not only for them, but for the people who support them, like the creatives who work with them as well, to take photographs and whatnot. So you could technically hire KOLs could use this site and also hire a photographer to go and do their photo shoots or do videography for them, because there will be a gig economy component here as well. But yeah, once brands know who the good KOLs are, essentially it's the same thing. Maybe they'll click a button and say, I only want to work with KOLs with a rating of 4 and above, or they have positive stuff, And but we have like a whole list that have come out, and it's automated, right? Driven by technology. So, but this is really quite idealistic. I don't know if we'll get to this point. At this point, we just want to, for now, we just want to solve the job matching issue, which our teams face a lot.
Okay. Sounds like a real interesting, real world challenge, right? Okay. A question from the floor now. And how tight of a turnaround time are you looking at, Brian?
So the turnaround time, it is flexible depending on. I'll have to go and discuss with my tech lead, Pearly, who's also in this call. But it is flexible because this is not something that we urgently need to do now. It's something that we want to do in the near future. So it is flexible. That's the best answer.
Just don't say tomorrow needed. I think our tech solvers will faint. Okay, great. The next question from the floor. Are you looking to commercialize a solution for other companies to onboard? Or is it solely for TSL's use? Yeah.
It actually isn't for TSL. It's actually for the entire industry. It's just that we believe that we can create a product for that the whole industry can use, and it can be a sustainable product. So it can be. That's ultimately what we want to do. While the IMD funding will help at the start to get us off the ground, we want this to be financially sustainable. I believe that CloudJobs is very financially sustainable already. So it's something like that. That we want to achieve as well. But obviously, it will also be for other industries like KOLs, like the renovation construction industry, the gig economy, and all of that.
So potentially, this solution can scale up. Can scale to different sectors and different industries. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, another question from Di Chong. It says, after matching is done, does the system have to reach out automatically to the freelancers to inform them that they've been shortlisted for potential projects?
For sure. I mean, it has to be made extremely easy for the people to know that they've been identified. So there has to be like the proposal should include a solution for that. Like, what's the best way to? We just want to make the user experience good for everyone. Meaning that, well, when the company essentially puts out a request for a gig, right? And then after that, people perhaps can apply. Maybe the company is then notified on who applies. So maybe when a job posting is out, the users can set an alert, being notified if there are any new posts for actors in this category, and then they are automatically notified. That's one way, or they could just go to the site and look at the current available jobs. But the proposal is really up to you guys. The key solution they are looking for is whatever works easiest and essentially frictionless, works easy, and it's just easy for people. It makes it easy for people to communicate. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, very good answer, Brian. Okay, we have 2 more for you, and these 2 are very interesting questions. They're very commercially oriented, I would say. Okay, from the floor, this question says, is the platform free for all to use? Meaning, can any freelancer just register and start creating a profile?
Okay, yes, it would be free to use because that's what we want to we want to help the industry essentially. So that's the idea. It will be free. If there are people who are paying for it, it will be companies. For example, companies who want to, maybe they want to get first dips, or they'll get like some premium feature. Maybe that ad would be, that ad would be sticky somewhere, something like that. So there will be some advantages for being. So it's like a free to play. I don't know if free to play is the correct term, but essentially it's going to be free for the vast majority of users lah. We want to make it as easy as possible to sign up and for people to go and find work and whatnot here. But the paying customers will probably be the companies lah, who would value this as a solution.
Okay. Now, very interestingly, Nicholas has a question for you, and I believe Nicholas kind of predicted what you're gonna, how you're gonna answer the previous question. So now he's asking, what's the business model you're looking at for the platform? Is it a commission card, software as a service, a listing fee, and so on?
It would probably be as a commission based. So for every essentially for every like gig, for example, I mean it's similar to what Fiverr does lah, right? They would, if there's a gig, and then essentially the person who lists the gig would have to go and pay Fiverr like 5 to 10%, something along those lines. So that one is something that at first it's just going to be free for everybody, and then we're going to use market data and then adjust and come to something. But there has to be that, obviously, that payment mechanism built into it for sure, so that we can eventually enable payment. Yeah, and it should be like a simple, easy process lah. I don't know, using PayLah or whatever, something which is easy for Singaporeans. PayPal, PayLah, whatever. I think there's some integrations out there already.
And I believe the creativity and ingenuity of our tech solver community will be able to help you solve this payment engine issue. So I have no worries about that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brian. I think we cleared all the questions for your first business challenge today. So shall we now move on to your next business challenge, which is all about the social media topic trend monitoring analysis, which I believe is a very, very hot topic. Yeah. Take it away, Brian. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Billy. So for this second problem, this is more towards TSL, but as the first problem statement was more towards the market in general. So right now at TSL, a lot of our work requires monitoring what's going on social media, meaning that what are the latest stories, what are the latest trends, and then it's a pretty manual process. So what our team will do is we'll then try to understand, okay, based on this data in the past, what is going to be some data in the future, which is also going to be relevant to our audience. Like for example, a common example is everyone knows that bubble tea is pretty popular with millennials. So we'll create more bubble tea articles, so that's a very simplified example. There's a lot of nuance in all the different verticals. And what we want is, we want that understanding of the data points at a level where essentially like humans just can do it at a very limited capacity. If you have imagine a machine with machine learning capabilities to understand like 100,000 data points based on the history of social media in Singapore, you then could probably predict, have some sort of predictive capabilities to come up and imagine what would be content which people will be interested about. So this at the moment is, it's just what we're hoping to solve. We are not sure of the limitations, because it does sound quite ambitious. So let me just share with you maybe, so that's the goal, that's the problem that we have, and that's the solution that we're looking for. Maybe I'll share with you guys what we already have. So this is something where, you do not have to go and build this from scratch. We actually have our own tech team, and we've actually built something which is quite decent already. And let me just show you this on my screen. So we have this thing called Insights RN. So if you go to insightsrn.com, you would come across this. But I think this one is private, so we're not openly shared this. But essentially, what we have done is we have already gotten permissions from Facebook to use the API and whatnot to have like a higher number of requests, essentially, to go and get data from them, to the point where we mine every site in Singapore, like every popular site in Singapore, we mine it every month, and we've been doing this for the last 2 years, for essentially, okay, and we want to eventually turn this into something more. Right now, it's quite good because, well, okay, let me give you an example. You click on this. Let's look at the Singapore's biggest influencer, Mr. Lee over here. Let's click here and view more. And then you can see that, it's like the interface it looks quite nice. It's quite good for the purposes that we want to use them for internally. We can look at the history of the engagement, total engagement, blah, blah, blah. So this is what we already have on hand. We've already built this and it's been running for 2 years. And you also get, some cool stats like this. You can look at his top 3 posts in February, or of course Chinese New Year posts, and so on. And you can do this for every single site in Singapore that we are tracking. And this, of course, is also, of course, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So Instagram, same thing. Instagram, very different people, but same thing. YouTube as well. And we've already, so this is already in place. And essentially, okay, wait, this is not loading. Okay, essentially what we want to do is we want to turn this into, so it's good as a database, but we want to turn this into a smart database, right? So right now there isn't any like recognition, like AI tagging, categorization of content. I mean, we manually categorize, people as like politics and personality, right? But there isn't that, categorization. For example, is this news potentially a fake news? For example, right? If someone comes up with a post, so that's ideally what we want to do, because we really have, essentially, we have all the data on all the posts for the last 2 years on all the biggest publishers. We want to go and try and put this data into this sort of like AI machine learning thing and turn this into something, a smart database, a database we could then learn and use that knowledge, and with that knowledge, they could then give us more information to predict content, meaning that maybe if we are monitoring the post for the day and we have our news at MS News and we want to run a post, suddenly the post that we cover, well, if we go into this database, they might give us a list of all the the top 10 trending posts to cover, or predictively what post would do well as a good news story if we have a slow news day. So there's that AI tagging done, and that understanding and that intelligence essentially through in the system, some form of intelligence, so that we can turn our database, which is it's good as a database, but it's not a smart database yet, and we want to make it a smart database. So let me see if I covered everything else. Real-time content trend and trend analysis, this will be huge, because ultimately, if you can use some sort of like machine learning and AI to help with the way that we formulate our content, that would be amazing. Right now, it's extremely manual. So what we have to do is we have to download all the data into Excel tables from Facebook, and then after that, we will categorize them manually. Like, this video was a comedy, this video was a lifestyle piece, and so on. And now that we have to go and create pivot tables, then we have to go and find the patterns. It's very, very manual, and it's, humans can only do so much. We want a machine to be able to do this for us. So yes, a user-friendly dashboard would be very critically important. So it's easy for us so it's easy for anyone in the site, a journalist, right, or a lifestyle writer, or even a food writer, right? If someone wants to find out what is the latest food trend, well, because we've been monitoring Instagram and because we've been monitoring YouTube, the latest food trend is probably like this new durian, don't know what thing. Okay, so essentially that's what this platform would recommend. And then after that, if we click on the rationale why, it would show like the list of articles or the list of data points that it used to come out with this. So it's like a very user-friendly dashboard. Performance metrics incredibly, yeah. So this is also included, like the reasons why it did well, machine learning capabilities. Okay, so what's the next slide? Yes. So eventually, we like to think of projects as not just for Singapore and not just for the next 1-2 years. We really like to think of like a longer roadmap, like 5 years maybe. So if this obviously proves to be successful in Singapore, that is something that we are going to take overseas as well for different markets. So I think there are other sites out there like social bakers and whatnot, and they serve different functions. But what we want to do is we want to be a service to content creators and publishers. So who could be our clients? Well, it's the same client base as, there are sites out there like, I think it's called CrowdTangle, and there's something called BuzzSumo. So there are sites out there like that, but they do it very differently. So there is a market out there essentially. okay, what's in it for you? Again, it will be like we already have like the foundation built, so that's not starting from zero. You've got the getting approved from Facebook took was a very long process, and we've already passed that hurdle. So right now it's just into the machine learning aspect essentially. Prize money of 50K, okay, that's good. And what else? Yeah, essentially working with us to be a partner, and then again, this is something which is quite a long-term view as well. Okay. Um, what we're looking for? We're looking for the solution which would help us create the most. Essentially, will help our content team the most. That's what we want. It has to be as easy as possible for our content team to get meaningful data. So I think the quality of the suggestions is probably the key, right? Because it's no use if like there's AI tagging and the articles and the level of AI tagging is inaccurate, or like it just cannot beat humans. Essentially, we need something which would operate at a operate beyond what humans are capable of doing, what our team is capable of doing. And usually that's what computers are capable of doing, just because there's so many data points you can input. You can just input essentially like 500,000 social media posts over the last 2 years. and ideally, I mean, I don't know how that works, but ideally if it's something like that, then the machine can just learn from that, then that would be ideal. Okay, so deadline is the same as for the media sector, it's 16 July. And now it's the Q&A time. So guys, any questions, go ahead.
Thank you, Brian. Our favorite segment of the day, the Q&A, because a lot of interesting questions will come in. But I do have a question, again, from myself to you.
Sure.
So you mentioned that there are already, okay, first of all, you already have your own, database, right? Your own database has been, you've been using for 2 years. You also mentioned tools out there really on the market, like BuzzSumo and so on. So the question is, why not turn to this market tools, and why do you need to create, why do you need to turn to OIP for this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the main reason why we are turning to OIP for like both our solutions is because what's in the market right now is inadequate to addressing our needs. For the BuzzSumo, it's pretty simplistic. And I've used that product before, and our team wasn't able to get much out of it. So Top Tango, I haven't personally used it myself. But essentially, we've tried all these products before, and like we didn't find there was a fit, and that's when we decided to go in. Okay, we need something else. We need something different. Like even for like insights right now, right, which is actually, if you think of it, it's a pretty simple solution. And in fact, beyond this, right, it's not just okay. I'll show you guys briefly what it does. Okay, beyond this, right. It's also we also use this as a client servicing solution. So for example, we are able to generate any stats across any of our sites in real time. So you can see that, essentially I'll just plot this data for us in real time. Like essentially these sites, right, in the agency world, in the publisher world, we have to key in Excel manually all these sites and give to clients. And then a few days later, come and request for an update. So we decided to create like a real-time sites updating across all our platforms. And essentially, it's very easy. It takes like 2 minutes to create a report like this. And then after that, it's just generated in real time. So this was an example of the solution that we created specifically for ourselves, because there wasn't anything like this in the market, right? Again, and then we created something like this. So yeah, again, this is something which we don't believe that's an adequate solution. That's why we do want to create this, and which is also why we feel why it's going to be very valuable, because there isn't an adequate solution like that. Or I believe other countries are probably working with this, and if there is, they probably want to keep it as proprietary tech, because it will probably give them quite a massive advantage. Well,
that's a very good point, Brian, because I think your challenge, right, together with the rest of challenges in innovation content, right, I believe most of them, right, have the potential to be applied across the world. Global, there's a potential global market for a lot of these solutions that will be developed. So it's quite exciting in that sense. Okay, Brian, we have questions from the floor. So let me turn to the floor right now. First question is this challenge available only for Singapore-based companies? I believe you have a slide that already answered this. Maybe you can just flash that slide.
Okay, is it? We are going to comply to whatever whatever the IMD guidelines are. So
yes,
Billy, you may be better
correct,
able to answer this.
Yeah, so this slide really answers the question. So I hope basically, yes, there's no geographical limitation. So if you are a company based regionally or elsewhere, right, you can also submit your proposed solution for this challenge, but the prototype must be demonstrated in Singapore. So if you are a finalist and you've been awarded by TSL, right, we'll leave it to TSL and yourself to work out the details of how you want to demonstrate the prototype in Singapore. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question. If you have any follow-up questions, do feel free to send the questions to the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg. Okay, Brian, next question will be, does the solution need to track trends in other languages besides English? Good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for simplicity, as what Billy has mentioned, right? We'll just stick to Singapore first, and in Singapore being like, well, okay. Actually, for simplicity, just for the initial phase, we'll stick with English because that's the main language that we are using in Singapore. But in the future, we probably would have, it's important to get insights from other languages as well. But just for the initial phase, we'll just stick to English because we just want to make it as simple. The work is really quite complex, so we just want to make it as as simple as possible first. One language, yeah.
Great. So basically, for the prototype, it's just English for the time being. Yeah, that's a great answer. Okay, up next. Oh, Brian, you brought this up, right? So basically, I realized that the current trend right now is actually putting durian into things like fish soup, which is kind of scary. But yeah, so this question is quite related to that. Not about durian, but about trends. Okay, so how do you currently define things that are going to trend? It's a very deep question, I see.
Yeah, it is a deep question because it is always a challenge. We believe that there's always some sort of pattern that can be seen. And if you can understand the pattern, then you can predict what the next trend is going to be. So for example, like on TikTok, okay, this is an example. On TikTok, people used to do these type of pranks to people, like where they would just surprise people, and then after that, they will get a bad rap for that because it's not cool to just surprise people randomly, and like usually something negative, like they might like put the bucket on someone's head while they're shopping. I mean, young people would do that, and you film it, and they think it's funny. And then after that, you would see. Lately, we realized that okay, yeah, that has gotten a lot of like a negative sentiment, but then there's also positive sentiment where you have like guys who go up to other guys and they'll give them a bunch of flowers and they'll say like, this is for you. You've never gotten flowers in your life. I wanted to give this bunch of flowers to you. So now if you look at these two trends, you look at these two examples, you might think that it's not a link, but there actually is a link to these examples, and the link is that spontaneous reaction. That's what people want to see. They want to see that spontaneous reaction when a member of the public suddenly is surprised with something. And obviously, if it's negative, it will not do well. But if it's positive, there's actually a good outcome for everybody, the people involved as well as the people who are watching. So then this content then becomes like the meta, and like people start using this as the the best content to be doing at the moment because it's positive for everybody. And that's how content seems to evolve over time. So what this AI tagging has to do is it has to go and take all these data points into consideration, like what was the key element of commonality here, and then after that, at a level which is a lot deeper than what humans can do, because there will be so many different points. And then from there, we can then sort of identify a pattern, which the machine has to do. It has to identify a pattern, like what is the pattern which links all of this together, why. And of course, we are also using the metrics as the indicator of what content performs well. If there's a lot of engagement, and this engagement is maybe like 2x or 5x more than the site's typical engagement, then that would be a good starting point. And then you will begin to see a lot of correlations, I believe, between like content which fall into certain patterns and categories and these sort of high matrix. And from there, you probably can go and build an algorithm or something. I'm like do not know machine learning at all. Okay, I just had to put that disclaimer out there. But I imagine it will be something like that. And from there, these patterns, okay, like maybe a human would be able to see like 10, 20 patterns, but a machine with that, that whole much longer time horizon of a few years and a few of like a million data points, they are going to see things at a much deeper level than humans ever can. And because of that, they will then have more, I mean, that's the logic now. We feel that they will be better able to predict what would trend before humans know that it could trend.
Wow, that is a very, very deep answer to a very deep question. Thank you, Brian. Give us a lot to chew on, a lot of food for thought, I must say. Yeah. Okay, we have another question, and this comes from Jeremy. I believe Jeremy kind of predicted your answer the way for the previous question, so he has this question for you. Would your solution require the assessment of the qualitative data for the comments as well, which I think leads to your engagement point? Yeah.
I see. Okay, I think that like more data is always better. If there's a way to go and turn this qualitative data into something meaningful and then feed it into this machine, right, into the machine learning, right, Yes, go for it, because like any data point, like even if you want to go and break down the engagements, right? You break down the engagements into like the laugh, happy, sad, whatever, and maybe you take the ones with the laugh and then turn it into something else, turn it into a metric of its own, right? So that would be I guess a more granular way of breaking down the data. But that's also possible. I do believe that the more data, the better. So if there's but that's the thing with qualitative comments, right? I'm not sure what's the technology there or how. I mean, there probably is some sentiment analyst sort of software out there, but I do feel that it will help, but I'm not sure what's the accuracy rate lah. I mean, for what I know right now, for sentiment analysts, like when I invest in stocks, right, I have this portfolio essentially, and then whenever there's news regarding this stock coming out, the portfolio would say whether it's positive or negative news. So they actually have this already in the real world. So I imagine that it will probably play a factor. And usually you could also do some correlation now. Usually if it's positive content, it's likely going to be performing better. I mean, at least that's what we found when for our news site, MS News, we focus a lot on like wholesome and feel good stories. So it'll be like this time where this migrant worker went out of the way to go and help, or this time where there was this very harmonious display of interracial relationships, or like multiple religions working together harmoniously. So that is usually always results in like very positive content for us, right? But then the machine would then go and track like what other data points, what are the other correlations, and then let us know, and then from there we can go and see patterns we haven't discovered yet.
Thanks, Brian. I'm going to let you off soon, but I just have one more burning question to ask you. So basically, sure. This technology, this solution, right, must cover content from web portals, I believe, all the news sites and all that, but also social media channels, right? Now, in terms of social media channels, right, what are the must-have social media channels that this solution must track?
I would say the main one is Facebook. That's number one. Instagram and YouTube are kind of like, it will be good to have, but Facebook is probably the biggest one. And the really good thing about this is we really have that tracking done. We really have all the data on hand. Essentially, we really have it through our insights right now. So the challenge for you guys is to make our database smart, enable AI tagging, enable, obviously if we could identify what is fake news and what is not fake news, I think it'll be even a very valuable solution for the government, if there is something like this, right? This news could be detected very quickly, whether it's fake or whether it's credible. And then,
what about TikTok?
TikTok is something that we're not mining at the moment.
Okay.
I think it will be also a bit challenging because the nature of TikTok is like the data it comes from video, right? Yep. Like someone is doing something, the data, whereas the data from Facebook and for the data for Facebook is mostly through text. Like a machine can understand it through text. I don't know if machines can understand data through videos as well, but I imagine that through text is a lot easier. Probably if a machine wants to understand data through video, they probably have to go and translate it first. I mean, that's what they do, right? When you talk to robots, they translate it into a sentence, and then they translate the audio into a sentence and feed it back into the machine. So the main challenge actually is Facebook lah. It's not the video thing yet.
But just saying that if our tech solvers have a solution that also covers video analytics, right, you'll be happy to consider that as well, right?
We'll love it. I mean, we think that's amazing. I mean, we're just a bit, we're also mindful of the budget lah, because I'm not sure how much the budget will cover. But the more that can be covered, the better for sure. But we are understanding lah. We know like with this budget, X amount of work can be done.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for a very good presentation, as well as a very good session answering all the questions. Thank you. And we look forward to a lot of exciting submissions for your challenge. Thank you very much.
Great.
Have a great day, Brian.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to leave the call now. Bye-bye.
Bye, Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our next presenter for today's Innovation Thursday, the Data and Artificial Intelligence webinar. Our next speaker comes from Creatives at Work, and it's a media agency that's supercharged by a curated network of freelance media professionals, right, who cover every consumer touch point. I believe Creatives at Work has a network of at least 1,500 freelancers, if not more, and I think they're always looking for more talented freelancers to join them. Our next speaker is the Chief Businesswoman of Creatives at Work, Miss JC Tam. And JC says she hails from the corporate world, right? But she co-founded Creatives at Work. And she says she's a big picture visionary leader, right? Who has a unique ability to keep one eye on the details. And she encourages innovation and experimentation, as well as infuses heart, soul, and spirit and passion in all that she does. And I really believe her, because I think Creatives at Work has a lot of interesting projects, and including a lot of interesting podcasts, right, and video casts on YouTube, right, JC? A lot of interesting stuff like the Uncool series. I'm quite a fan of the Uncool series. It's very, very nice. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
really?
but I haven't seen you, host yet, so I hope to see you host an episode on Uncool, in future. So in the meantime, I believe you have one challenge to present to our audience here today, and the title is Automated and Predictive Matchmaking Engine for the Creative Industry. So this seems to be a very hot topic, for our innovation call 10 media challenge. So I hope you can share more about the challenge that you're issuing, as well as the solutions you're looking for. Please take it away, Ms. JC Tam.
Sure. Thank you so much, Billy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Waiting for your slides to appear.
Great. Okay. Right. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Hi everyone. Thanks a lot. As Billy shared, I'm actually from Creative at Works. So let me just share my presentation deck. And I'll quickly bring you through the challenge that we are actually looking at for the industry. Okay. Right. So y'all can see the slides. Good. Okay,
yes,
I'll just,
slides, yeah.
Great, thanks a lot, Billy. So I'll just leave the slides here. Let me just share, let me just go into, okay. Okay, so just a quick introduction, and I think Billy has actually said a lot of things about Creative at Works already, so I didn't want to repeat it, but in a nutshell, so we are a media agency that actually looks at curating the pool of creative media freelancers and help our client to identify the most suitable creative teams as well as the creative freelancers to work on their project. So basically, these are the people we're talking about, like your freelance graphic designers, freelance writer, director, producers, even including social media. So currently we cover quite a wide spectrum of creative skill sets, from people who are involved in your conceptualization stage, which is the writers, concept artists, illustrators, all the way to your actual production guys, like your cameraman, director, animators, even web developers, app developers, VR, AR, and also, of course, towards the last part of it, which is the distribution, where it comprises of the marketing, PR, as well as social media. So in a way, you can see that we have this whole wide spectrums of the creative skill sets, right? So the service that we provide for our client is identify who is the most suitable to work with them on their project, right? Whether is it just a single skill sets that they're looking at to complement their team, their creative team in that sense, or they're actually looking at a team. So we can actually help the client to actually build a team of freelancers to work on their project, and we will come on project management to manage the project from conceptualization all the way to delivery. So I just want to move on. We are a Singapore-based company, and majority of our freelancers currently are actually based in Singapore, but we do have a growing need for freelancers in the region. So in fact, I would say about 30% of our current curated pool of freelancers are actually based in ASEAN countries, right? So we are talking about countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, but our client pool actually comes from all around the world. Okay, so very quickly, these are the various services that we are involved in, with the expertise of the creative skill sets, right? These are our existing clients that we have been working on. I'm moving very quickly because I believe a lot of the information is actually inside the brief, which IMDA has done a very good job in putting it together. So I think you'll get most of the information. I just wanted to leave more time for Q&A, right? Okay, so this is actually our business. So we are into 4 main pillars: the matching, right? The project management with our clients. We are also into training of freelancers, and thanks, Billy, for the shout out of our podcast. So we also create our original content. So you can see that we are actually in a slightly more unique position, because we are not just a solution provider, or we are not just providing certain resources, we are also content creators as ourselves. So the challenge that we are putting up, right, is not only just meant for our client, but it's also for our use as well, right? Okay, so what's the difference between us? So I also see in earlier sessions Brian's, right? He did a very very good sharing about his challenge one, which maybe some of you might think, hey, is it very similar to what we're asking for, right? So just want to quickly address this, that at least from my point of view, right, it's actually quite different that we're looking at. So essentially, Creative at Works, we are not a job portal, right? Or in fact, we are not a marketplace, right? So we are not your Fiverr, we are not your Upwork, right? In that sense, we are actually more, if you must categorize us, right? We are more a recruitment company, or we are more a headhunter. So basically, it is what the client is looking for. We go out and we ensure that we have the best person, we have the best fit in terms of skill sets, in terms of experience, to meet the client's requirement, right? Instead of the other way around, right? So we don't go and open call. So meaning to say our freelancers don't bid for the project, right? So basically it's for us to identify the right person and match them to our clients. So currently we actually do it on a very curated basis. So we already have built out our proprietary, I would say, assessment criteria, right? So we already know some of the basic things that we need to look out for in a freelancer, right? And then based on that, we will then use that as a basis and match them to our potential project owners. So our freelancers, we only work with curated. So meaning to say, if a freelancers just drop in their resume, just drop in their portfolio with us, it doesn't mean that we will immediately work with the freelancer. We still have to go through the assessment in order for us to qualify them in a way lah. Yeah, so that's a slightly different from a lot of the marketplaces out there. So currently under our database, we have more than 1,500 freelancers. Those are already curated. But having said that, even if we curate the freelancers, meaning to say, okay, we acknowledge that they have the skill sets, they have the portfolio, right, to carry out the work that they say they want to do, right? But we may not also use them as well. So I would say those freelancers that we work with on a regular basis, so meaning to say, they have consistent job from our clients, are probably only about 20% of this pool, right? So of course, I think one of our objectives is actually to increase this lah. So how can we actually increase, from just 20%, we can actually increase to 50%, right? Yeah, so basically we are content creators ourselves, so we create our own content. So whatever solutions that we are putting out there now is going to be reapplied to our use as well, right? And of course, we also train freelancers. So the system can help us to identify gap, which we can then use it to actually train our freelancers so that they become better because of the gap that we have identified, right? Okay, so moving on quickly. Okay, so basically, so our problem statement is quite similar, right, to what TSL is looking at, but slightly different context, I would say. So how might we automate the matchmaking creative needs and predict the skill sets required to better scout and train required talent? Right. And I actually highlighted the automation process. The reason why I actually highlighted automate, right, was because we actually already have a system in place, right? So we have, if you actually look at the brief, we actually can provide, right, the solution solver with certain proprietary information that we already exist, like the case studies, what made a project successful, what is a successful match, right? So what we are looking at is just to automate that process, right? And then second, what we really hope to do, and of course, given what happened, right? I think it's even more important now for us to be able to actually predict the skill sets that will be required, right? So for example, now, of course, the skill sets is digital marketing, right? UX, UI, right? Because a lot of people are going into it. So we want to know what's next so that we can actually start curating our freelancers already, even before, right, the demand actually arrive. Okay, so moving on quickly. So basically, these are some of the areas that is possible. We are not looking at all of them in one call, of course, right? It could be part of it, depending on what the budget allows, because we also know that the budget is of a fixed amount. So so really depending on what is possible within that budget. But this is actually our ideal case in terms of how, when this system is being built fully, right? We hope that you actually carry out all this, I would say, functionality. It allow us to do all this functionality. But what I wanted to point out, right, is that we are actually not starting from ground zero. So just like TSL earlier, right, they actually already built something. So we have already built a prototype already, right? That we hasn't launched yet, but it is actually a base already, right? So it's a matchmaking, I would say, applications that is already been done, right? So all we need is actually probably to enhance on it and build upon it, right? Okay, so this is what's it for you, the prize money, which is no different, which is almost similar. All right, so I have come to the end of my sharing already. So let me just stop share first. Okay, great. Yep. So
Wow,
that's
JC,
all from my
that
side.
was a very accelerated presentation, very, very fast and very quick. But I'm not going to lay off here. I do have one question for you. I understand that in your challenge brief, right, you mentioned that you already have an existing app called Execute.
Yes, that's right.
And I understand that this new matchmaking engine you're looking for must basically play well with Execute. Could you elaborate more on that? Yeah.
Okay, so basically currently we already have we have started actually building this prototype called Execute, which is what I mentioned earlier. So but basically this is just a engine that actually already allow matchmaking to be done, right, from a requirement, right, to our freelancers. So there is this base or body or infrastructure that's already there. So I think what we are looking at for this challenge, right, is actually to enhance the current system. It's actually a very bare system, right? I would say, put it simply, I'm so sorry, I'm not an IT expert myself, like, so I cannot probably articulate in the best IT in a tech term, but as much as we see it, right, it's just base right now, right, that actually allows certain matchmaking functionality and project management functionality that has already been built. But what we understand is it can further be enhanced. So whatever that we have been asking for, in terms of building analytics into it, building smart assessment of resume, right? All this can actually be built on top of it, because all those pieces we already have, but it's just that we probably need a little bit more integrations between the different systems.
Okay, that's a very, very good answer, JC. Before I answer the questions from the floor, I have just one more question for you. You understand that you're looking for the engine to also predict the kinds of skill sets that companies, the clients will demand for. Where do you think this information should come from? This data should come from?
Okay, so there's actually a few ways of such data. Firstly, definitely our own data, right? Because we are currently already have projects, even from the past till now, right? So I think some kind of predictions, right, can be already seen from our past historic data ourselves. And also because what we are capturing now also, right, is also on requests that we have received but have not been fulfilled. So meaning to say we have received the request, maybe the client has dropped us the email and all this, but we did not close the project because maybe we don't have the talent, or maybe the client decided, okay, maybe I seek other alternative. But we do have such a database of tracking what the client asked for. So I think this is a good base to start. And of course, on top of that, I guess it's definitely more crowdsourcing from other job portal, for example. Like, for example, if TSL have that system up already, we can see what are the job that has been put out there, right? So roughly then we know, okay, so what's coming out, what should we look at? Yeah.
We should ask Brian.
Yeah.
Brian left us. Okay, now we'll buy him coffee, ask him, separately. Okay, now we have more questions from the floor. So let's move on to this question about, okay, given that different categories of talent have different needs, for example, filmmakers, graphic designer, audio engineers, and so on, are you looking to prioritize certain groups or categories?
Okay, that is actually a very good question, right? So I think we creative efforts, we look at it differently, right? So we don't really look at the like filmmakers and all this. We look at from a skill set perspective. It's not so much about who you are, right? So to us, you can be a filmmaker, you can be a social media content creators, you can be a KOL for that matter. It doesn't matter as long as your skill set is video productions, right? And in what area? So so what we hope to go into is, okay, this ABC has expertise in video productions, has made viral video that has actually reached more than 10,000 views, right? And is a lady and love cats, for example. something like that, right? So that when we actually do the match to our client, immediately we know, okay, this particular lady, right, who can make viral video will be very suitable for my client who sell cat food, because she also love cat, something like that. So at least, because I think based on our past data, we will be able to know under what situation a project is considered as successful, and why. I mean, we probably cannot say why, but we probably can find like a trend, like what kind of freelancers are more successful in doing what they're doing. Right? So I think that's what we are trying to
Okay, and
achieve.
that's a great. Thank you, JC. That's a great leading to our next question, which is very similar, and I think you can expand on this. What kind of attributes from talents you wish to track? So how will you classify them? So basically, besides the skill sets and the interest, they like cats. What else are you looking for that makes them stand out? Yeah.
Okay, so we actually have a list of things that we currently already tracking. So we actually, in that sense, we have the database of freelancers, right, 1,500 of them. So a lot of the things we track, right, actually comes from a resume, right, perspective, like your skill sets, which school you graduated from, have you won any awards, right? Who have you worked with in the past? How many years, are you in the industries, right? Things like that, right? So those are coming from a CV, normal traditional CV or portfolios, right? But what we hope to build on it are like what I mentioned just now, like really the attitude, the personal attribute of that particular individual. So it could be tracked via maybe say their Facebook, right, or their social media profile. So for example, how many social profile this content creator has, right? Then we roughly know whether this person is social media friendly, or maybe this freelancer don't even have a social media presence, right? Then we roughly know this is okay, maybe more traditional. So maybe they're more suitable to work with, say, more traditional companies, right? So that kind of infer how we can actually do the match. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds very, very interesting. And the way you profile your creators, your freelancers, very interesting. Okay, next question from the floor: is there a need to authenticate the freelancers before they sign up, or will this be done internally?
Yeah. Okay. So that is actually already I would say a step that we have established internally already, right? So every freelancers that comes in, right, does not go straight into our database. But that's the automation process that we're looking at, right? So someone from our team still have to look at the resume, right? And then we are currently using a project management tool called Airtable. So basically, once they submit it, it automatically update into Airtable. But someone still have to go into the Airtable on a regular basis to just look through, right, and see, okay, who are the one that we think has a potential for us to work with them further, right? So that's the process that we actually want to automate. So we can cut down the manpower, and instantly it can actually be recognized by the system and put them into the pool directly. So whenever there's an order that comes in, these freelancers will be flagged up.
Okay, thank you, JC. We have one more question for you before we can let you go. And I believe today's audience is very business oriented, very dollars and cents. So this question is the platform free to use for all?
No, okay. So I must say, okay, thank you so much for the business question, right? I think that is very important to us as well. Okay, so I would say depending on how you see free to use lah, okay? So for example, we definitely don't charge freelancers who register with us, that's for sure, right? Because we don't use them and we may not necessarily be working with them at the end of the day, right? So our objective is to find top-notch talent, right, that is suitable for our client, right? But of course, it cannot be free. So at the end of the day, right, who is paying for this? Of course, it's our client who's paying for it. For every successful match that we are able to churn out for the clients, then the clients will actually pay us a commission fee as well as a project management fee, right? So that is our revenue model. So that is why, because our revenue model depends very much on the successful match, that is why all the more we have to have enough good freelancers to actually make the matching appear faster and possible. And all the more it is important to us to ensure that the freelancers, because in our last 9 years, right, of doing this, right, the freelancers that bring us the most money, of course, are the one that, top-notch freelancers, like in that sense. So we are trying to actually find more top-notch freelancers.
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very good question. The top-notch freelancers, if you are interested, please talk to JC after this. Okay, just one more question for the floor. So I hope you can answer this one. Okay,
sure.
So knowing that you have such a big pool of data, right? Do you intend to relabel your existing data, such as your keywords, your past experience, so that the system can match relevant records?
Yeah, that is actually a very good question. Yes, we are open to do so because I must say, when we were building this system, right, a lot of people are working on it, right? So that is also one of the challenge, right? Because different project manager has access to that the same database, and each one of us has our own way of updating. Right. So when a project fail, why it fail, all of us uses different language of why it fail, right? Then why is it successful? Each one of us have different benchmark of what is a successful project. So I think one of the things that we hope to do also is that we can actually clean up this part so that we are more consistent in terms of the records on the for the freelancers, so that whoever that comes on board as a project manager, that's also on the part of our expansion of our team, right? So as more people come on board, right, to become project manager, or eventually we let the clients be the project manager themselves, so everyone is on the same page.
Okay. Thank you, JC. Thank you for a great presentation on your business challenge as well as answering all our Q&A. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have more questions for JC from creators as well, feel free to pop by the forum at OIP, the OIP forum at www.openinnovation.sg. Thank you very much, JC.
Thanks a lot, Billy.
We look forward to all the exciting submissions for your project. Thank you very much.
Me too. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to our biggest topic of the day. We have been talking all day long about influencers and key opinion leaders. And right now, I think we have the perfect business challenge, revolving around that topic of KOLs, right? So this challenge is titled Influencer Identification and Outreach, and it's a very, very major topic of interest in the media industry, because I think a lot of companies, a lot of agencies are looking at this and trying to use technology to solve this problem. So our next company is called Gush Cloud International. I believe that they need no introduction. They are well known. They are in 13 cities across the world, right, including in Tokyo and Australia, right, and so on. I believe that Gush Cloud International just celebrated its 10th anniversary. So happy birthday, Gush Cloud.
Yes,
congratulations on the 10th anniversary. Hi, Joe. Hello, welcome,
yes,
Joe.
hello.
And I believe you have more than 200 employees. So it's a very it's a growing, expanding company. And right now, it's my pleasure to introduce the speaker for Gush Cloud, Mr. Joe Tan. He's the head of product at Gush Cloud International, and he leads the product development within Gush Cloud. Joe, are you ready to tell us more about your business challenge?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Billy,
you.
for the introduction. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would share my screen to begin.
Okay, we'll just look up for your screen. Okay, I can see your slide. It says how we evaluate. So let's go to the first one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, take it away, Joe. Looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm again from Gush Cloud International. At Gush Cloud International, we have like different units. So mainly the agency units, which deal with like influencers, and also talent and studio, which we work with like more creative content creators on YouTube, on the different social media platform, and of course like entertainment and social, where we try to like enhance and build different revenue stream for our content creators and talents. So as Billy introduced, like we are in 11 countries. So our problem actually span across like different countries, and it's quite international. Like our offices, we have like offices in Southeast Asia, for example, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, East Asia. We have like Korea, Japan, and also like last 2 years we expanded to China, Australia, and also the US. So our problem statement, although it's simple, but I think in terms of like the scale and the complexity of it, is really a global problem that we try to address over here. Yes. So the problem statement here is really quite simple. It says influencer identification. So a lot of our work involve. Hi, hello. It's okay. Yeah. So a lot of our work actually involve influencer identifications, which is to match influencers with brands and clients' requirements. So this can sometimes be quite tedious in terms of like shortlisting and finding the right influencers to match with the brands and their requirements. So there are a lot of like factors that goes into these requirements. For example, brand safety. For example, are the followers like authenticate? Are they real followers? And so on and so forth. And are they suitable for the brand image? And then there are different kind of like brands image, maybe a lifestyle brand image, it may be a esports, it may be, beauty brands, it may be for parenting, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of different categories of like brands and clients we work with, and it stretches across different countries. So the current method we use, as for example, like we do have a system, an internal platform that we store influencers that we collaborate and work with across Southeast Asia and different countries. And then but we still requires a lot of manual vetting of these like influencers and content creators. For example, our team, like who is in charge of like sourcing and looking for content creators for the brand's requirements, would still go onto social media platform, to their Instagram, to kind of like vet through their profiles to ensure that they are suitable. Of course, we do have some data labels and tagging to help them refine the search, but this process is still quite extensive, I would say. It would take them like maybe a day or two to meet, to browse through all the different shortlists and create this like content creators and recommend them to the clients. And so this is usually the process, right? A client come to us, we will try to gather all the requirements, whether where your brand is from, which location are you looking to target the audience, what are the kind of demographics you want to reach out to? Is it a youthful demographic, or is it a more mature parent, people who are already parents, and so on and so forth? And what are the guidelines, what are kind of things they want to post? For example, there may be a certain kind of image, certain kind of like video style they want to create to for their campaign requirements. And of course, like not to miss out the goals and KPIs that eventually they want to measure for the success of their campaigns. So this is usually then captured within our CRM system. Then it moves into our sales team, right? Or once it moves to our sales team, someone would then be assigned to create a proposal. Now in this proposal, usually we want to create like we see previously, a list of influencers that actually would meet the requirements. And this creation is important because usually the client will vet through one time or two time to then approve or then reject certain kind of like the whole creation short list of influencers and content creators. So you can imagine, like if this initial proposal is not well created, then this process would actually take longer. And when this process would take longer, then of course it increase. We want to keep it short so that we keep the client closer to us as far as possible. So that would really help resolve a lot of pain point within our team. So what are we looking for? It's really if we could automate this whole process that we shared earlier, right? So this whole process of like looking at the requirements today is manual, and someone understanding the requirements, then go to our internal platform to then search for all these influencers. Now, what if we have a system, right, which could actually take in the requirements from the clients, from brands, and automatically understand, systematically categorize these requirements and match them with groups of different influencers in different categories and across different countries and regions. For example, if the brief is to come in that, oh, I'm a Korean brand, I'm looking to target an influencer in Thailand, for example, right? So in this case, taking a requirements from maybe understanding, let's say, English language first, but it would be fantastic if the system could understand actually Korean, right? And then look for Thai influencers this system could actually understand content of the content creators or influencers in Thai and actually categorize them, right? And so, like, for example, if the brand is a beauty brand and looking for beauty influencers in Thailand, and now this system could actually automatically churn out a proposal, a list of created influencers based on the requirement. Now, so this would actually cut short our whole process of like searching and identifying influencers. So this is actually what we are looking for. So a system which could categorize and match influencers according to different requirements. So what is in it for you is the prize money of 50,000 for this challenge, and also I believe based on given our skill and our reach of like insights and content creators and influencers, we actually are present in, and you will be able to by collaborating with us, you'll be able to actually learn I think a lot of like access of information, insights, and how it works in this industry, especially like working with content creators and influencers across different countries, like Southeast Asia, East Asia, and also in Australia and US. So how do we evaluate? I think we really look for solution in terms of solution fit, right? We will look out if there's a demonstration of deep understanding of this industry, mainly in this like space of like digital content creators, marketing, and advertising. That would be a bonus. So if you have worked with similar data sets in terms of social media profiles, and that would be really helpful. Of course, like if there's already a technology that we can tap on to start, do all this like matchmaking process, and it's a plug-in solution ready available for us to kind of like integrate, that would also be really good. Solution advantage, if I believe like that would be in terms of the accuracy of the results. Now, how we measure the accuracy of results in terms of like the creation, I think it's going to be kind of like a few process with our team to then look through the results to see. I think there's a certain aspect of like human kind of like to verify if they're accurate or not. So that would be kind of like the solution advantage we look for. And of course, like if your company already have like experience processing social media in marketing, and of course understand performance marketing, that would be a bonus as well. Okay, so we need your idea to be submitted by 16 July. And yep, that's all I have. It's quite simple, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. A very, very interesting presentation. Plus, I like your Ask Me Anything, AMA.
Yeah.
We can invite a lot of questions from the floor. But okay, before we turn to the floor, I have questions for you, actually, Joe. One is that, okay, this is the burning question that I think everybody in the audience wants to know. And we ask this of almost every presenter. Okay, what other options has Gush Cloud considered before turning to OIP? And why didn't these options work out for you?
I think like other options we look for, I think it's in terms of like maybe other kind of like platforms. I believe there are similar platforms out there, and there are also like we built our internal tool as well. I think why we wanted this proposal is really because we wanted to have own the information and data insights instead of like relying on third party. I think first is a self-reliance. To get access into this information and start building up this data insights across in terms of like this matching system. So to be self-reliant in this process, and this OIP actually fits very well into this goal.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. I must value coffee for giving a shout out to OIP. Thank you very much once again.
Yes.
Okay, there's a request from one of our attendees. He says, could you showcase slides 6 and 7 again? Maybe just help us show slide 6.
Oh yeah, slide
problem
6.
statement. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think they want to see 7 as well. So why is 7?
Oh, if it's too small, maybe
I can. Yeah.
I could make it
maybe
bigger.
Just flash slide 6 for the time being. But there's a very interesting question next from the floor, and it's something that I also wanted to ask, because I noticed that in your business challenge brief, right, you guys asked for one of the features is you must have a personalized mood board. The system should generate a personalized mood board of the influencers. So the question from the floor is, do you have a vision of how the personalized mood board looks like, and what are some key info that you need in this mood board?
I think a mood board in this process, right? I think it is, if you see, it's more towards the database influencers information, more towards there. Like I was sharing the requirements of the content style before from the clients, right, or the brands. Sometimes they would require certain kind of product placement, right? Certain kind of style, because it has to match the brands. What we usually do now when our team actually vet through the content creators, we look at the style of content as well. For example, is it like more towards feminine? There may be like certain characteristics, right? I don't have the exact like what are the attributes right now. Is when we work on the problem deeper together. So maybe the brands could come up with a certain mood board, right? And then, based on the content created by those influencers, we could also match them together, right? You know what I mean? So kind of like if it's a sports brand, then probably, we want someone very athletical, right? And every day sharing about, sports, content, but maybe not too, but there may be some brand safety, right? So maybe not too much exposing themselves and stuff like that, right? So depending on the requirements from the brand, so that is what the mood board could be, and then based on that mood board, we could match the content of the influencers.
Okay, just out of curiosity, currently, how do you guys prepare the mood boards?
The mood boards, we do have tools to search for some of the top content of the content creators, and of course we still manually vet through this content to see if they actually matches the requirements of the client. So if the system could start understanding not just the text content but actually the image content and match them together, that would be very interesting as well.
Okay, so the system must have a bit of a visual intelligence to understand the kind of visual look that and feel that the client's looking for.
Yes,
sounds like a challenge, but I think our tech solver community, no problem, they can do it. I'm very sure. Okay, right. Another question from the floor. Is the solution expected to cover regional influences or require multi-language abilities? Joe, maybe you can just expand on this.
I think ideally, because we work across different regions and country, the eventual solution should cover across and be localized across different countries that we are in. Mainly, I think Southeast Asia countries are the most important to us. So for example, we do have a lot of regional campaigns requirements, like I was sharing, a Thai brand looking to access Indonesia, a Korean brand looking to access Thailand, and stuff like that. So breaking down and helping the client to match as fast as possible by having this system understand the content in Thai and matching the requirements in Korea. I think that is the most ideal. But of course, like in the initial prototype, it could be in English, like processing the semantics and the language in English first. And then, I believe eventually, further, enhancements could be worked towards to, understanding localized language and terms and so on and so forth.
Okay, so just to clarify for the audience, right? So for the prototype, we work with English, but in future, or it's a nice to have, it'd be good to have multilingual capabilities. So for the prototype, English is okay, right? Joe, that's it, right?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
That's great. Okay, so don't worry about it if you can't support multilingual capabilities at this point in time. As long as your engine can do it in English, it's good enough for Gush Cloud. Okay, next question. Oh, we have a lot of business-oriented people in the audience today. Okay, yes. What are the metrics you're looking at to track and analyze campaign analytics? Joe?
Metrics we're looking at to track and analyze campaign, and so to measure campaign success, right? I would think. So that will be really depending on the goals and requirements of the campaign. So again, very often we track impressions, but more towards performance today, as we are moving towards campaigns and brands. I mean, initially it was in the industry, it was a lot more about awareness and impressions. Today is more about views and engagement, but we are actually moving towards performance as well, and it moves beyond just the views and engagement. Usually on different platforms, there are different measurements. For example, on Instagram, it would be views and likes. Facebook, there are different engagement. You can like, you can heart, and the number of unique views and the duration of each video. So these are some of the common measurements. But as we work with brands more towards the commerce side of it, then we may want to start adding in like campaign measurement success in terms of like click through. Eventually, a click through plus a sales, right? So that we can provide the full end-to-end services.
Okay, thank you, Joe. That was a very, very good answer. Yeah, I believe that should answer the question from the floor. Okay, we have one more question. I think today has been quite an interesting session because we have a lot of questions for every speaker. Okay, this comes from Hannes Santana. I think there are two questions, but let's start with the first one. Hi, Joe. What emphasis are you putting on influencer content matching versus target audience matching? And how deep would you go into both in terms of data points? Wow, tough question there from Hannes.
Okay, content matching and target audience. I think yeah, this one is a bit tricky. I wouldn't say it would be the same for every client. It will depend on the client requirements. I think a lot of time if we look at more towards performance, so the client really looking for performance, right? Then I think we look at more towards the demographics and matching the right demographic and insights to ensure they have the highest reach and ROI for their campaigns. If it's kind of like an awareness campaign, that they need some creative content that can help them go viral in some way, then maybe content matching would place emphasis higher. So I mean it really depends on the client requirements, and in terms of like how the system will allocate the weightage, right? I think yeah, if based on the content, the campaign requirements, and the system could actually allocate the weightage, say okay, this client is actually looking for performance, and therefore the data insights of the demographics is more important. So we could do a weightage of 30 in terms of content and 70 in terms of like their data insights, right? So if say, oh, this client is looking for really creative content to go viral, right? And not so much target audience because they just have a wide target audience, then maybe we can set the weightage to be like 60 and 40 and something like that. Okay, maybe so that would be something that would, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like you're looking for a flexible set of parameters. So it depends on each individual client and case by case basis. So it won't be the same set of parameters for all campaigns. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from you. Okay, one more question from Hannes. I think he or she is really interested in this topic.
Thank you.
So talking about performance, what will be the relevance of the demographics breakdown of engagement? For example, the gender split on likes and comments. Tough one, Joe. What do you say?
Also thinking about what would be the the question again.
Okay, the question is just 1 second. Okay,
relevance of
what will be relevance of the demographics breakdown of engagement? For example, the gender split on likes or comments.
Yeah, definitely. These are some of the insights we already have in terms of like some estimates and information. So those are most important. I think they are very relevant for every campaign. We do look at the insights in terms of the gender split. It goes back to the requirements again, the demographics. Who are they looking for? Like, is it like 20 to 25, this really specific age, and then they have to be like female or male oriented audiences. So we look at their audience insights and not the like female or female content creator. They could be a male but content creator but with a lot of female audience and so on and so forth. So we get them through a variety of sources today. Like one is like through estimate, like sampling, and also from the social media platform themselves. So through this like different insights, I think we then make a decision on who to select as well. I would say the emphasis on this accuracy has to be very, very important and relevant.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. I'm just going to check for any more questions from the floor. This has been a very, very fascinating topic, especially we're talking about, trying to spot the next generation of, KOLs who can really, drive big campaigns. Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you very much, Joe Tan, Head of
Thank
Product
you,
at
Billy.
Gashop International. Joe, I look forward to all the exciting submissions for your business challenge. Thank you very much.
I'm also
Thank you for
looking
joining us
forward.
today.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Joe Tan from Gashop International. And with that, we're going to call an end to today's Innovation Thursday. But before that, let me invite you to also join us for next week's Innovation Thursday. It's going to be happening on 15th of July, 2021. You can see my backdrop. It says Innovation Thursday Digital Platforms happening next week. So do look out for our links and all that. We'll be publicizing the links very, very soon. In the meantime, I do remember that we have 2 sets of deadlines for OIP Innovation Call 10. As you know, for the media sector challenges, for example, for the challenges from Creatives at Work, Gashka International, as well as the Smart Local, the deadline is actually 16th of July, 2021. So the deadline, once again, for the media sector challenges will be next Friday, 16th July, 2021. And for the rest of the challenges, for example, including the ones from our friends at the Wildlife Reserve Singapore, the deadline is actually 30th July, 2021. So you have a bit more time for the regular challenges, but for the media sector challenges, the deadline will be on next Friday, 16th of July. All right, so once again, I want to see you guys again at the next Innovation Thursday happening next Thursday on 15th July, and the topic will be on digital platforms. All right, and for more information about all the OIP challenges, do remember to visit our website, www.openinnovation.sg, or email us at info@openinnovation.sg. So thank you once again for joining us today, and we look forward to all your exciting submissions for all our business challenges in Innovation Call 10. Thank you very much. This has been Billy from the IMDA Open Innovation Platform team, and we'll see you next week at our next Innovation Thursday seminar. Thank you, and have a great week ahead. Bye-bye now.